Hi, I'm Mila. I'm from Brooklyn, and before I share a very personal and intimate story with you, please like and subscribe to the channel. I was born into a very wealthy family, so influential and famous that I'm not going to give you my last name, not to attract journalists' attention yet again. My parents are so carried away by their own lives, they don't really care about me or my sister Rita. We live with our grandparents, and we saw our mom and dad a couple of times in our lives. By the way, my sister and I were born on the same day and the same hour, a couple of minutes apart. When we also have identical faces, body types, and even moon-shaped birthmarks on our right forearms. Yeah, we're twins, but that's where our similarities end. I'll tell you about this in a second. Our grandpa is a very kind fellow, but he's so busy with the affairs of the company he heads that we rarely see him. Our grandma is a retired social butterfly. At one time, the whole world was talking about her beauty and talent. She was a famous Italian actress. After one huge scandal, of which we don't speak about in our family, our grandfather had to marry her. A few months later, my dad was born. Our grandma was always putting on youthful airs, forgetting that she wasn't 18 anymore. She was very mannered. Although she spent most of her life in the States, she deliberately spoke with a strong Italian accent. With this, she sought to highlight her short and very scandalous celebrity past, when she was shining on sets of outstanding directors of her time. Our Mamma Mia, Santa Maria, I miss Italy so much, she often said. I wish I could return to my youth on the coast of my native Sicily, put on my best dress and flirt with rich and influential men with a glass of my favorite Pinot Grigio in my hand. Bellissimo. She sighed about her past. Open-mouthed, Rita and I listened to Grandma's stories about this amazing country of fine wine, great art, high fashion, and the most expensive shopping. And while I wanted to see the original works of Leonardo da Vinci, Rita dreamed of visiting the most expensive boutiques and spending a few $1,000s there. My sister and I were always asking my grandfather to send us to Italy on holiday, but he was afraid that we would fall under Grandma's bad influence and always postponed the trip. Since early childhood, Rita dreamed of becoming someone famous. She caught the star fever from Grandma and spoke with a strong Italian accent, although she'd never been to Italy. First, she wanted to follow in Granny's footsteps and become an actress. But when that seemed too difficult to her, memorizing long and boring scripts, working hard on acting skills, my sister chose another dream, becoming a supermodel. In her opinion, to succeed in this profession, you didn't even need to talk. You just have to smile at influential people in the fashion world and gracefully sway your hips. She thought she was the best at it. Even before school, my grandma started taking Rita to numerous auditions, and her first success wasn't long in coming. Very soon, a picture of my sister hugging a bald poodle was shining on every bag of the most popular dog food in the States. The dream of becoming famous made Rita very angry and arrogant. She acted like a princess and was very dismissive with our household staff. My sister was nitpicking at every little thing and threatened not paying the help's salary or firing them. Rita, you're being cruel. These people have families, and they work for us every day. We must be grateful to them. I tried to reason with my sister. Oh, Dio mio. You're too infantile. You don't understand life at all, little sister. These people are just servants. We should be stricter with them, like Grandma taught us. Otherwise, one day, they'll completely get out of hand, steal our silverware, and run away. My sister was very like our granny in many ways, but on the contrary, I always felt a spiritual closeness to my grandpa. But he rarely appeared at home, and not to see my grandma, he went on business trips a lot. He always returned with a bunch of gifts, and always saved something special for me. Most often these were art books or albums from the works of great painters. I felt that with these gifts, he was trying to compensate for the time he wasn't there. Grandpa understood how much I needed him, mostly being in the company of my grandma and sister. When we turned 17, a huge party was thrown for us. While I was in anticipation of a gift from my grandpa, a new MacBook, Rita tried on a mountain of fashionable dresses from the most famous couturiers. And yet she was still unsatisfied. In public, she skillfully covered up her angry face, expression with a sweet smile and a friendly mask. But at the end of the party, Grandpa introduced us to his old acquaintance, a very famous lady in fashion circles. And she introduced us to her son, Patrick. When I first saw him, I couldn't take my eyes off him and fell into a slight stupor. He was a green-eyed, tall brunette, just like my crush. and his voice, it gave me goosebumps. Girls, starting tomorrow, Patrick will study at your school. Give him a tour and introduce him to your friends so that he gets used to it. Grandpa turned to us. But when Rita pushed me away, hitting me hard with her elbow, and with a sugary smile promised Patrick that she would make sure to show him everything herself. That evening, I happened to witness a conversation between my sister and my grandmother. Turned out Rita had a cunning plan, and she volunteered to help Patrick not out of kindness of her heart. Through our new acquaintance, my sister wanted to gain the trust of his mom, a bigwig in the fashion world, and it would help her in her modeling career. Bravissimo, my dear girl! When I was young, I was thinking just like you. I'm sure your intelligence and talent will bring you the same success. You'll be able to play men and use them for your own purposes. Make that half-wit Patrick fall in love with you, my grandmother exclaimed when she learned about my sister's brilliant idea. Things I observed at school over the next few weeks left me very disappointed in my new acquaintance. He followed Rita with his tongue hanging out like a brainless puppy and fulfilled her every whim. It looked terrible because my sis spoke to him in an imperative, superior tone. Push-around boys weren't my type, so my initial feeling of being in love with Patrick soon faded away. In the meantime, we were preparing for a school play premiere, where I was the director and I was so nervous. The creative process pulled me in so much that I fell into work head first and wasn't thinking about my sister or her admirer. But 3 days before the performance, something terrible happened. The lead actor fell ill with whooping cough. Months of rehearsals and careful preparation and everything went down the chute. This news made my head nearly explode, and the team was waiting for my decision. Everyone believed that, as always, I would come up with something brilliant and save the situation. But it seemed quite hopeless to me, and at that moment, the very miracle I dreamed about happened. When I was immersed in gloomy thoughts about canceling the performance, Patrick unexpectedly appeared in our theatrical scene. Mia, I was passing by and I accidentally heard about your problem. I can help you solve it and play the main part. I have a phenomenal memory, and in a short time I can learn huge text, the friend of our family said. Imagine that. 15 minutes later, we were already rehearsing, and Patrick was matchless. He got into the role so organically that he was even better than the guy he replaced. Patrick's relaxed movements attracted attention, and his velvety voice fascinated people in the audience. He gave me goosebumps again, just like when we first met. But after the rehearsal, Rita caught me, painfully dug her fingers into my wrist, and hissed angrily, "Brutto, figlio, di puttana bastardo!" Don't you dare approach Patrick, he's mine. But to be honest, I didn't give a slightest damn about Rita not liking my interaction with Patrick. During the time we worked on the play, we became good friends. And by the way, the performance was an unprecedented success. It was even mentioned in a popular teen magazine that featured Patrick and me on the cover, surrounded by our crew. This really pissed off my sister. I developed warm, friendly feelings towards Patrick, and he was constantly asking me what Rita's favorite colors are, what she likes to eat for dessert, and what size her shoes are. Basically, Patrick was obsessed with my sister. And I just couldn't get how he wasn't noticing the obvious things like her arrogance and evil-speaking tendencies. But to not hurt my friend, I preferred not to dispel his delusions. Only once he was upset when at his birthday party, Rita didn't even congratulate him and said she spent the entire evening following his mother and trying to start a conversation with her. One day on my way home from school, I saw Patrick outside our house. He parked his expensive car and was standing by the entrance in a chic suit with a huge bouquet of flowers. Mia, I finally decided to tell Rita about my feelings. Today I'll confess my love to her and ask her to be my girlfriend. Do you think she'll appreciate my bold move? But I didn't have time to answer. A displeased Rita came out of the house, and you could tell she was in a bad mood. My sister didn't react in any way to the flowers in Patrick's hands. She just looked at us with annoyance and contempt. She sat in the front seat of her friend's car, slamming the door loudly. In less than 20 minutes after they left, I got a call from my frightened grandmother, and after a short phrase, "Rita was in an accident. It's bad. Grandpa and I are already in the hospital. Don't waste any time and come here." She hung up. I stopped everything I was doing, and in half an hour I was there. Imagine my surprise when my grandpa, grandma, and sister were sitting in the hospital emergency room, laughing out loud watching MSP videos on a big screen. Seeing me, Rita, in her bad Italian accent, started to complain about a barely noticeable scratch near her cheekbone. But her whining didn't interest me at all. A completely different question worried me. Where is Patrick? It turned out that the worst thing had happened. After the accident, my friend fell into a coma and was in intensive care. I spent the next few months in tense expectation and faith in Patrick getting better. I literally moved into his room. But Rita's patience didn't last very long. In all this time, she visited our friend just once. You know, Mia, I see that you're not indifferent to this obsessive and unpleasant guy, so you can take him. For my purposes, he's useless in this state. I needed this idiot in love only to get close to his famous mom, Rita said cynically, standing by Patrick's bed. I did not answer this soulless creature, but the next day a miracle happened. My friend came out of his coma and was sent to a rehabilitation center, from which he returned a few months later. At that time, I was actively working on a project that I sent to the Young Directors competition. The winners were to get a terrific prize, studying at the Italian School of Drama. Despite being immersed in my work, I continued to closely follow the news of Patrick. I was so glad to see him when he came to visit us on his own 2 feet. Only the scars on his face reminded us of that sad story, but they suited him. When Rita saw Patrick, she changed her strategy once again and wanted to joyfully throw her arms around his neck. But he stopped her with his cold look and said in an icy tone, I came to see Mia, and I don't want to hear your fake accent or your lies anymore. I learned the whole truth about you in the hospital. I heard your entire conversation with your sister, and now I know the true motives of your interactions with me. And then he added, addressing me, Mila, I'm sorry that I didn't see the real diamond straight away. Now I know it's you. While I was in a coma, I heard you talking to me every day. It helped me get back to the real world where I was, and now my dream is to make you my girlfriend. That day, I didn't give Patrick an answer on whether I was ready to date him. Very soon, I was going to Italy to study at the drama school. I think you guessed that I took first place in the director's competition. New doors have opened for me. As for my personal life, I don't think it's going anywhere. Let Patrick wait and suffer a little.